Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. My name is Jack Chow, your host for many, many years, trying to do everything we can with my team to service you to the fullest. At EDI, we pay attention not only domestic, but internationally. Internationally, there is a big event going on. That's the Davos Economic Summit. Lots of state leaders from other countries are there, including our President, Donald Trump. With me today as a start section of subjects, my friend Ken Hemming is here. Mr. Ken Hemming is a political commentator. I like him, the most part I like him is that he has a beautiful set of mind. And the quote from him that I can never be upset.
That's true.
Right? And the second quote from him is that every time you name him as a right or extreme right, he says, I'm extreme constitutional, something like that.
I just believe in our Constitution.
That's your second quote.
Right.
So with that, we welcome my dear friend Ken Hemming to the show today.
Jack, I'm always happy to be here, and the only extreme in my life is the love of your viewers.
Thank you very much. And also everybody appreciates the fact that you love this community, because we stand at the show, we stand for the community.
Yes, sir.
Whoever does anything positive to the community is our friend. We take friendship forever.
Forever,
right.
Absolutely.
Good. Davos has been there for many, many years in Switzerland.
Yes.
And every year they call upon the leaders to go there to talk about the world issue, international issue.
Yeah.
It's not a geopolitical, it is global political issues.
In economic, the focus is on economies.
And the focus on the economy. That's why from China, I've learned that Mr. Liu He, He for he, not he, he, but he. In Chinese, the E is as as a ER, Liu He, and he is there. He is one of the top economists of China, and according to Reuters, that he is going to be appointed as vice premier of China. I don't know. Anyway, that's not important.
A high position.
High position.
Yeah.
In other words, from both countries, China and the United States, they send the highest people possible.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So now, what have you learned so far about Davos?
Well,
I'm mostly concerned about our president.
Right. One thing I learned today is I learned how to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, because that's when it was, and I got up and watched it
That's
live.
evening time last night, right?
This morning, yeah.
No, that's evening time last time back there.
Oh, I think it's ahead of us, but maybe I'm wrong. I'm
All
not
right,
sure.
again, anyway.
But anyway, so I was there, and their master of ceremonies, a gentleman named Klaus, Switzerland guy. I forget his last name, but he gave a very gracious and nice introduction to President Trump. When President Trump walked out on the stage, a very nice, warm reception. And now, Davos is very famous for its the people, about 2,500 people there, are globalists, and they want no borders, and they want open immigration and all that, which is exactly what President Trump does not want. Okay, neither do I.
Okay, that's exactly why I feel a little worried about his selling.
Yeah, right. And it was a very pleasant surprise. He was warmly greeted.
All right.
And so after a very nice introduction, the president got up there. It wasn't a long speech, probably 20 minutes. But what he said, my goodness, it's so exciting, because what he basically said is, I am simply here as a cheerleader for America. I am an America first man. I am going to protect my citizens first, but then we're not alone, because we're happy to work with all other companies for economics and countries for cooperation. So and he went over a lot of things we hear all the time about the stock market, the job rates, lowest ever for African Americans, lowest in decades for Latinos, lowest in 17 years for women. Now these are big deals because this is what the radical left likes to yell about, that the president doesn't care about blacks and browns and women. Well, it's just not true because they're getting jobs.
Speaking of that, I would want to mention as a side note that Mayor Garcetti this morning said something in a news conference that Los Angeles as a city, its top issue is gender equality.
Well, let him say what he wants.
Yeah, the news comment says that we have lots of more important things to do, such as budgeting, right? Such as anything. There is anything, policing, or even the sanctuary issue. Of course, the gender equality is one issue, but not the very supreme top issue of whole Los Angeles. That's right.
Well, as you know, I've said many times, and you disagree with me probably all the time, I think California is the worst state in America to live in other than for weather. And we're losing it. We're losing it. It's a pure socialist state, refuses to follow the laws of our own country. And I'm ashamed to be a Californian.
You are right and you are wrong.
Yeah, right.
You're right is because that I do agree with you sometimes on some issues that we together going against the extreme left. Even the concept, their activities, what they're called, soever. And you're wrong because that I still love California as much as I could, and lots of people do so, I believe, right? California does have a bright future because the foundation our forefathers has established is still there, right? It's never shaken. Right?
I'm a supporter of having North California and South California.
Well, we'll talk about that.
Some other time.
We'll talk about that another day.
Right.
We can schedule
I don't see a bright future.
show specifically talking about the division of California, and they even propose to say the Central California. They have a northern, southern, and the Central California.
And don't forget, a lot of people want to secede from America to make its own country.
Okay, anyway, back to Davos, though.
Yeah.
I read some summary this morning because I was in a hurry.
Yes, sir.
That Donald Trump, said one thing first, so clear that the America first does not make us alone.
Correct. That's exactly what I said.
Or does not mean that we're alone.
We're not alone.
We're not alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and he always emphasizes everybody in here, from different companies and different countries, I expect you all to feel the same way, that you put your company first and you put your country first. And we all do that.
Which is fair. Which is
logical.
In other words, everybody puts their own country first.
They should.
Put their own people first.
They should.
Right?
And their culture.
Which is by logic,
logical.
No fault, fault, right?
Right.
Secondly, he mentioned the fact that the United States want investment, and all people, everybody is welcome to the United States to invest. We have our doors open for
We are
something
open.
like that.
We're open for business.
Okay. What did he mention? Thirdly, he said three things. I read about a report by AP on the summaries. There's a third one which I forget.
Okay, well, I'm not sure, but he did also re-emphasize that they want to denuclearize, they never want to nuclearize a Korean peninsula. And he said, and we will not let that happen, and we need everybody to work with us to through diplomacy or military response to make it happen that way.
There's a little bit.
We're building our military
I
back
agree.
up.
There's a little bit to go into for detail. Not to allow that happen. That is the original concept or the original idea, the original stand of the United States of probably the rest of the world, not to let it happen. But as how to make sure it doesn't happen, has he mentioned anything about it?
Well, number one is hope and pray for diplomacy to be effective with the help of primarily China, some Russia, Japan, and South Korea. But the last, which may be the most effective way, is if they shoot off another missile, maybe we shoot it down, and maybe we blockade. We have enough naval ships over there to blockade the entire coast of North Korea. And I think we should.
Yeah, from what you see this morning, by analyzing the way he emphasized it, do you think he is stronger than before of the military attack, or weaker than before than he previously was?
I think he's exactly the same.
Same.
And it's if we need it, we will do it. In the past, people have said all kinds of things, different presidents, and never done anything. All the way back from Clinton all the way up to now. Nobody did anything to stop North Korea. I mean, remember, like Clinton gave them $4 billion and they promised not to continue to do it. Of course, they just do it. So
I do agree. I do agree. It's a accumulated problem. It's, it's an aggravated situation.
He got dumped on this.
It's kind of very much aggravated. It's like a tumor.
Yeah.
Right. You let it go for the first time after the first diagnosis, and then you let it go for the second. And the third goes on and on until then, until now.
And that is the same thing with immigration. Everybody just kept passing the buck. And
we will touch immigration, that basket, whole basket of problems later on. But focus on the international issues, though. I mean, we are out of European Union. Right, so we are no longer one of them. We're now out of.
We were never in the European Union.
I know we're now out of NATO. Anyway, right. We're out of NATO or anything. Has he mentioned any position of United States once after NATO? I'm out of NATO.
Well, one important thing going on. We're in NATO right now, but one important thing going on is President Trump met with Prime Minister May of England. England's getting out of the European Union, Brexit. They voted their way out. And so, you know, trade for England is very, very important. It's one of our greatest allies, probably the second after Israel. And so May, their leader, really has to make positive things happen with a bilateral trade agreement with America that's mutually beneficial. So, and you know, in the news, they say, oh, they don't get along so well or whatever.
Yeah, Trump did mention about improving the U.S.-UK relationship.
You know, and
what does he mean by improving?
Probably more cooperation, more trade. You know, and more mutual respect. They planned a state visit for President Trump over there, and I didn't even know this, but on a state visit, which doesn't happen often by England, the people that visit, that are honored, stay at Buckingham Palace, the Queen's home. And so that's kind of interesting, but it'll happen sometime, I'm sure.
All right, very good. And I'm so glad that the President of the United States made it clear that we will still put America first. I do agree with the American first. That slogan is, well, I'm happy to see that's carried on.
And not alone.
And the good part is that we emphasize we first. Doesn't mean that we are alone. We're never isolating ourselves. We're ourselves. We want to join the party. We welcome you guys join us, right? So that is a way
open invitation.
That is the way to make America strong and keeping being strong, something like that, right? My dear friends, today with me is my friend, my regular on Friday for the weekly update, Mr. Ken Hemming, a great man that I rely upon so much. And there's also another reason why I keep him so constant every Friday, and well, that is just for the purpose of dragging me back if I had been on the left for too much for the other 4 days.
We balance.
Am I right?
We balance.
We balance. All right. Let's take a short moment out. When we come back, we'll continue from there to find out anything else, please. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the show. Today in the weekly update, we name it a Davos update because there is a Davos International Economic Summit going there lots of state leaders are attending. Our president went there the day before and last night, well, which is their time, not last night, which is happening right now.
Yeah.
Probably if there is the banquet is still going on this very moment, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah, could be. So where he made some points clear to explain to the rest of the world what we are doing, right?
May I share this too? Like last night, I watched the beginning of a dinner that President Trump had with about 15 or 16 leaders of the world's largest companies. Okay, and everyone introduced themselves, what company they represent, like Bayer, which has been in aspirin for 120 years, the different large companies, all of whom are investing from $2 billion up into America and building plants in America. And they were, you know, these are people, a lot of them don't necessarily agree with, you know, maybe they're more globalism oriented, but each one politely and I think accurately praised the president and said they're happy to come to America to make money.
That reminds me of one thing. Remember, right after his inauguration, he went to Middle East.
That was beautiful.
I had a meeting with more than 50 of their regional leader whatsoever.
Right. That was beautiful.
That's the beauty. The beauty of it is that even though everybody came to the get-together with their different stories.
Yes, they did.
Right? Under one roof, they got to one point, listened attentively to new President Donald Trump talking about the United States and how they want to behave or something like that. Right. Okay, now, once again in Davos this time, okay, now, I'm not a supporter of Trump, but when he proves himself to be good, though, I may end up supporting, which is very logic.
I think you support him in your heart. You don't want to say it.
Oh, no, come on, no. I like that. Anything positive he made to United States, of course, we hail for it. Right. Okay, now, has he mentioned, okay, problem is that there are issues that the conflicts with the audiences. Don't you think so?
Now, audiences...
With the, with the other participants. For example.
Absolutely.
For example, the rest of the world is talking about global warming. Am I right? Okay.
They are.
And it's a hard sell for Trump to deny it. Right. Has he done anything in his 20-minute speech about global warming and tactics for human being what we want to do?
No.
No. He hasn't touched it.
No, he didn't, and I support that. You know, I mean, things happen. We've been here billions and billions of years. You know, never more than 1.5% or 2% deviation on. You know, other than when an asteroid hits and all of the dinosaurs are killed. I mean, the planet could be destroyed, but it would take an eternity to do it by fossil fuels and whatever.
Okay, let me, shall we meander on this subject a little bit?
Sure.
Okay, now, to me, problem that we are facing belong to different groups. Group number one stands for the fact that the attacks we cannot control.
You mean from outer space or whatever?
From outer space, if something hit Earth.
Right, that's
like
just life.
It's happened 60 million years ago when dinosaurs disappeared, right?
That's just life.
And that thing keeps happening all the time. Only they are too small or not sizable to be noticed.
Correct.
Or they are far away, or they are on the way.
Yeah.
Anyway, things like that.
Yeah.
For those, we human can do nothing.
Can't do anything.
Right?
Yeah.
Regardless how hard we try, someday it happens, Boom.
Yeah,
we're all
all you
done.
could do is maybe you populate other places like the moon and Mars and whatever, and you spread humans around.
All right, until that happens, until that becomes a reality, we just wait till that day, boom, that happens, we're all done.
Enjoy your life.
Well, there's nothing we want to regret. You are not here to live to regret. So
That's right.
Now, and there are the other group, which is more important. That stands for things that we can do. We can do.
Yes.
All right. However small you do, you're talking about a accumulation. right? You're talking about you're adding on or adding on. Back in the old days, but the old days, say 5 million years ago, right? When the human apes were doing the rocks on the rocks for a spearhead, though,
right, to be able to eat.
Nobody did it one time itself.
Right.
It's accumulated. I did this way, did it that way, and then that bit add up was so little. However, it's adding, right?
Well,
it's adding up. Now, suppose we're back to the Stone Age. Back to the Stone Age, we are doing so little. We recognize global warming. That's one step forward. And then there's another action taken, another step forward, on and on. So do you think, as a sober-minded, it's okay,
sorry.
We're only human. A sober-minded individual, we would confirm it and encourage it, regardless how small that effort is?
Well, I guess it depends what the truth is, okay? It has not been proven, like Al Gore, who's made millions and millions off, proselytizing global warming and flying around in his jet that's like
that makes pollution. That makes pollution itself, right?
He had predicted that the North Pole would be all melted by 10 years ago.
All right.
All these predictions about things that can happen in a short period of time never come true. So there are political aspects to being a global warming. They don't even call it warming or cooling now. They call it global change, because when they were going global warming, well, all of a sudden the Earth was getting cooler. So they had to change it. It's neuter gender.
I understand your position. I only invite you to come back, join me in stretching a little bit so that we can get you and I on the same page. The same page being that is going to happen anyway, say 10 million years later. And what we do is so little, so minuscule, that it might be neglected, like 1 ppm. Or 0.000001 ppm, whatever. However, it's accumulation from there on. What we do now will never hurt the situation, at least. Am I right?
Well, see, like the evolution of planet Earth, it doesn't just go in one direction toward destruction. I mean, it evolves this way, then it can evolve this way. You can't, we got beautiful scientists, but you can't predict exactly what's going to happen when. So it's not a straight line to destruction. So it might get a little warmer here for this reason, a little cooler here for this reason. We've just had incredible recent snow levels that are unheard of. So Mother Nature, whatever that is, has much more power. Well, so the power of Mother Nature itself is so far much greater than the destruction or the negative impact that people can have. Now, I think the major negative impact humanity can have on planet Earth is overpopulating planet Earth. If there's there's a lot of blank space, open space, but getting efficient production of food and getting it distributed in a nice way is a big, serious problem.
All right, very good. Let's put the global warming aside a little bit.
Yes, sir.
And you and I learn from you. Every time when I argue with you, I take a second consideration. I back a little bit. Let's talk about it later.
Yes, sir.
Right. So that can be put aside. We know that the global warming subject is closely related to environmental control. Right. Speaking of environmental control,
you're right. It's control.
We are polluting our water, at least, for example. For example, the plastics that we use. Don't you hear that there is an island of plastic bottles in the ocean as large as the land of New York State, if not bigger?
Yeah.
Right? So those are stuff, I believe, that at the International Summit meeting for economy, though, people ought to talk about it. Have they done anything that way?
Well, not that I've heard on this, but what I'll say about that is, like, if people are of a low enough quality in their personal value system to throw things in the ocean and to do that, It means their family didn't teach them right, their grandparents didn't teach their parents right, and they're not teaching themselves right. I don't do that. I know what I'm supposed to do with my trash, and so, but there's poverty countries, okay, countries of poverty that really have, they just not even educated on how to properly dispose of things. So it's just as much of a negative impact on the character of humanity.
Yeah, that exactly. I'm really glad that you mentioned that, because that hitting a nail on the head.
Yeah,
right?
I believe that.
That education.
Yeah.
You want to educate people.
Yeah.
If the World Economy Summit will put some efforts on emphasize of the education of people, of treating their trash at least, right? For
with respect.
environmental control purpose.
Yeah.
So that would be so positive.
Yeah.
That I would give them both hands.
I agree with
right?
that.
Okay. Oh,
Totally.
fine. Speaking of that though, I came across one report the other day that in China, one scientist discovered something that can assume plastics.
Oh, that can
Assume plastic.
make it disappear?
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
And turn it into carbon. That's it.
Okay. That'd be,
Carbon
that'd be nice.
and gas.
Okay.
What happened was that he has a plastic bag that holds the rice. Right. He found some holes there.
Yeah.
Rice are leaking. Right.
Sure.
Later he learned he found some bugs in the rice that eat everything.
Yeah, right.
How did the
Nice.
bug get in?
Not my dinner, please.
How did the bug get in? Right? Okay, now, and if the bug chews on the plastic to get in though, where did the
Plastic. Oh,
plastic go?
right.
So he dissected the bug and found the plastic
No, this is cool.
being processed into some kind of carbon.
Yeah, yeah.
And then he went further to find out what being the element or chemical or so ever that dissolve the plastic.
Right.
And he found out this special bug can produce some kind of whatever acid that takes the plastic and turn it into carbon that turns to be nutritious to the body. So now, and then he went out on a further enlargement to produce the chemical element. Solvent, called that way.
Okay, right.
And he was successful.
And then how do you apply it on a massive basis to
It takes only
benefit?
time.
Yeah, it takes 100 years or whatever.
100 years, yeah, sure.
Well, see, and when
I'm
plastic,
talking about accumulation.
yeah, and when plastic was invented, it was a miracle invention because
All
it
right,
did
very
so
good.
many things.
So that's why, all right, good. Let's take a short moment now. When we come back, we'll talk about that's why.
Yeah, no, that's good.
Okay, good. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show, you ladies and gentlemen, who care about the world, care about ourselves. So we are only the villagers of the global Earth. We're one tribe.
Right, we are.
Anyway.
We are a tribe.
All right.
I only believe in the human
Sure.
tribe.
Only one, right?
You know I say that.
So one world, one dream, anyway,
Right.
like something like that. Join me in the discussion in the subject of Davos, which is the International Economic Summit meeting right now happening at Davos, a little town of Switzerland,
Yeah.
northern Switzerland, Davos, D-A-V-O-S, famous. Lots of state leaders from all over the countries went there.
And many of these leaders, believe in global warming and whatever, but approximately 1,000 private jets landed in Davos. That's a lot of private.
There's a lot of emotion.
Yeah, that is.
Okay, anyway. With me in the discussion is my good friend,
That's a
Mr.
lot.
Ken Hamming, a political commentator, a philosopher sometime, and he's very stubborn. Sometimes I have to call him the extreme right, and he named himself as the extreme constitutional.
Correct.
Which I agree. All
I'm an American.
We all, of course. And I'm American too.
Correct. I
All
know
good.
that. And I'm
Very
proud
good.
of you.
Sure. Thank you very much.
I'm
Now,
glad you're here.
talking about why, you mentioned about the fact that when plastic stuff was first invented,
Yeah.
though, it was such a success.
Yeah.
That the whole world
Yeah, it changed packaging.
changed
it changed
everything.
a lot of
right?
things
Good.
nicely.
Now it becomes a problem. It becomes a problem, right? So that example itself indicates the change of nature of the issue to solve. An issue by nature might not be good, might not be bad, just depends on how people evolute, how people improve themselves, their constitution, their concepts, right? Okay, now, to the global warming thing, when it first invented or created, I use a word that probably you will like, and you had fewer recognition.
I would say weaponized. That's my word.
Whatever.
Yeah, right.
Whatever. Over time, it sooner or later will be recognized.
Yes.
Like the damage of plastics.
Right.
To our water, to our land, to our soil, stuff like that.
Right.
So it takes only time, right? Let's move on to other issues.
Yeah, one little deal on that is like in the food issue, okay? Food, there are several foods that, oh, this is no good for you, this is no good for you. 15 years later, oh, this is real good for you, this is good for you. So everything does keep changing. Okay, oh, this is not good, oh, this is good. I mean, butter and chocolate, all these things.
But one thing, speaking of that, though, now that you mentioned that the devil, let's stretch a little bit. According to the Food and Grain Division of a United Nations, of a human resource or whatever, organization, that the global Earth has a population of over 72 billion right now.
7 billion, not 72.
7.2 billion.
Okay, yes.
I'm sorry.
There's a difference.
Okay. We need 5 bars to hold on that much, right? Okay, now 7.2 billion so far. All right, now the other data shows that the global Earth, given all the efforts, all the productivities, everything, it yields certain food, whatever, that would afford only 9.5.
Well, and I've heard before, I have no idea what the right answer is, that really the Earth is essentially designed for about 2.5 billion people. But now 9.5, well, we're going to get there fast, because God created us to hug and kiss each other.
Trust me, I did research on this issue.
Sure.
9.5 is the number. It's the maximum by logic.
Right, maximum.
Given the fact that you drag the solar terms, energy, you use whatever manpower, the land itself, the fertility of the land itself, so on and so forth, it can provide food for only 9.5. And with the speed, the rate, the population increasing from 7.2 to 9.5, it takes, how long?
No.
Less than 50 years.
Yeah, it's not shocking because it's fast.
Yeah, less than 50 years. And also, the pollinization made by bugs?
Yes.
Right? The pollinization by whatever, butterfly, grasshoppers, and so on and so forth. Their ability of a pollinization is decreasing, which is heavily related to the production of food, of grain.
Okay.
So the number that supports 9.5 billion is being reduced, whereas the number of population is growing up.
Well,
so,
you want my prediction?
Yeah, please.
We've just learned how to clone monkeys, on planet Earth, and maybe people are next, but we may also then learn how to clone food that can really increase production. There's no limits to what can be created through the human mind over time. The things we can't even dream
All
of.
right, good.
The stupid cell phone. I mean, my God, look what it can do. It can do everything.
I'm glad you are so optimistic.
Yeah.
And I'm so glad. Maybe I have to absorb some positive elements from you.
You're very realistic. I'm a little more optimistic.
I am realistic, and I do take data, and I do think about the problems that happen.
Beautifully.
Right? Okay, now, what we're talking about, you're talking about the infinity, which is
Yes.
which is unlimited by theory. However, it is only an imagination in a positive way, right? Now that we can create a cell phone, I what now?
Yeah.
I 8 now, right?
Yeah.
And we can expect
Oh,
I
we're at a 10 now.
I 80,
I-10.
I 80,
Yeah, right,
I
that's right.
100, when it
Right,
goes on and
right,
on.
yeah.
That's only imagination by logic, which probably is wrong. However, what I'm talking about, the number of population increasing, the productivity of a fertile
Yeah.
earth
Right.
is going down. They will meet somewhere in between.
So the 9.5 billion might even shrink.
Yeah, might even shrink.
Might even shrink.
We might even get faster than 50 years to get to the point, to the maximum point. So
Well-
that is dangerous. That should be, if I were a speaker at Davos, though, I would put forward, I would just point out this issue. This is a big issue. I believe this is only day one, all right? There are six days scheduled for Davos.
Okay.
And I will bet somebody will point that out.
Yeah, and there's a lot of, I mean, when I'm home, I'm watching it. I want whatever I can learn from Davos, agree with or disagree with both. But it's vibrant, but it's a very much, the policy there is globalization, open borders, migration, and I disagree with that. But you have to know what people that you disagree with,
Sure.
the depth of their, because they may have some elements that
We
could
will,
change
of
your mind.
course, touch the immigration issue or
Yeah.
migrant issue when we come back with the next segment, though.
Yeah,
Within this segment, while we're on food, though,
yeah.
let me tell you another issue that I would wish that the Davos will point out. I believe the next 5 days, somebody will point out. In other words, in spite of the fact that the increasing population and decreasing productivity of the amount of yield so far,
Right.
there is one hope. There's one hope, but a big hope and a huge hope.
Okay.
You know what that hope is?
Tell me,
now,
please.
the human waste of food in developed countries.
You're right.
The more developed, the more waste of
Right,
food
right.
in Asian countries. I mean, in the
It is a tragedy.
in the current world. You know how much that is?
No, I don't.
In the United States, 51%.
You know, I'm not even shocked. Now, like in America, when you go to restaurants, they give you too much food. They should just cut everything down.
Yeah, you go there, you go check. Oh, good.
I really
my friend
believe
Ivan,
that.
my friend Ivan, who is a researcher on this issue,
Yeah.
provided me with all the numbers. United States, 51% waste. Okay,
that-
you go to schools.
That can bring tears to
You
my
go to
eyes.
school cafeteria.
Oh, yeah.
And you see the kids, a box of milk
Right,
goes away to the trash can.
right.
A hamburger goes away to the trash can.
Well,
So now, if human race can regulate themselves,
right.
right,
This is really
Can-
big. This is really
can
big.
refrain themselves
Yeah.
from wasting so much, though,
Yeah.
we have an extra capability of providing another 7.2 billion people.
Yeah. You know, my
See
point
what I mean?
about they just give. Well, that's why we have so many obese people on planet Earth now. I mean, they just keep throwing food at you because they think, customers,
point.
oh, I don't get enough food. Well, like last night, I had dinner with my friend Wendy, who you know, and we split a prime rib, a petite prime rib, and it came, you know, I mean, they just charged $5 for splitting it, but it was less food, totally filling, because, you know, you feel like you've got to finish everything on your plate. You feel good about that, but we don't need what we're eating.
My friend Ivan, who is a researcher on the issue, you met with him, I believe.
I like his name.
Nice, slim guy, right? Okay. And he recommended a set of some things that he wished somebody will write into bills.
Okay.
Turn into bills.
Yeah.
For example, recommended the California legislature that restaurants make orders of, say, LMS, large, medium, small.
Yeah, with different prices.
Your different prices.
Right.
I want to order of so whatever. Da 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 da.
Well, that's like French fries, large fries,
I want a
small fries.
medium.
Yeah.
I want a large.
Right. Yeah.
I want extra large.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. It's
Right.
your
Just
freedom
pay for
to
your
go.
choice.
Pay for your choice.
Right.
And yet the purpose is to save resources.
Yeah. See,
Am I right?
This is so. What you just said about 50% or something is.
I'm very proud
so
of my
tragic.
friend Ivan
Yeah.
with this idea, and I really wish that in the rest of 5 days at Davos, somebody would make a call, say that a human race, the humans are wasting too much food resources, whereas we have the same amount of human whatsoever are going hungry.
See, one thing.
Why can't we feed them with those with the food that's saved from the waste?
And I'll tell you who does well at managing food: cafeterias, because they've got different plates for different things you buy. Okay, almost like dim sum, but cafeterias, and they really can't afford to waste much. So they do a pretty nice job.
The
of
dim
that.
sum service style.
right.
That style probably be right.
That's-
the dim sum. You
yeah.
have this one or that,
Right.
one or that,
And they
one
pretty
or
much
that.
get eaten.
Very good. All right, my dear friend. Today we're trying to save the world.
Yeah, we
two individuals, small like ants.
Yeah.
Right. Yet we have a heart, big as an elephant.
We do.
Trying to save the earth, right? Mr. Ken Hamming, my brother, kind of friend for many, many years, and a lover to the community, with me talking about Davos, which is our weekly update. Let's take a moment. When we come back, we'll continue finding what is there with the world problem, with the issue of immigration or migration or whatsoever. So stay with us. We'll be right back, please. Hello, my dear friends. Welcome back to the discussion about Davos meeting, the conference, the International Economic Summit Conference.
World Economic Conference.
Right. And it's happening right now in Davos. Our President Donald Trump is there, and he gave a speech for 20-something. He watched
Big
5
speech.
o'clock in the morning, the whole thing. Yes. There are things that we're glad that I mentioned are discussed at the conference. There are things we recommend that they will talk about. I wish they see the show. At least we had 2 recommendations, right? Maybe.
Yes, absolutely.
I checked with my friend Ken Hamming, who watched the whole length of President Donald Trump's speech at the opening. Did he mention anything about immigration, United States immigration, or world immigration, or even migration whatsoever?
Yes, he said it's a major issue in America, major issue all over the planet, and Europe is just falling apart. Okay, with this free flow of immigration, and Angela Merkel, Chancellor of Germany, allowed 800,000 refugees to come in, and they only have 80 million people in Germany.
3%, I believe. Oh,
It's just, and a very small percentage have jobs. All you're doing is stuck with increasing your welfare system. I don't really work hard, Jack, and feel the joy out of being, my money being ripped off by people that are just using welfare system for their benefit rather than for their need. There's a big difference to me, okay? Someone's got a need, I'm there. Someone wants to take a benefit off me through their inappropriate actions, and I'm not happy with that, and I don't want to do it. But now the president has proposed a four-issue plan related to DACA.
like what?
Okay, well, number one, a $25 billion fund to fund the wall and other forms of securing our borders. If you don't have borders secure, you don't have a nation.
25 billion.
Yeah. Also, for the lottery, there's different countries that have a lottery, and somebody might get out of a prison cell and come here if you win the lottery. It makes no sense. and then chain migration. That if you're 1/16 related to somebody in some Timbuktu, okay, that you have you could get here in a more speedy manner. Then the president is willing to give up 1.8 million amnesty circumstances for the 800,000 DACAs that were brought in here. And these are kids that came in when their parents illegally came in.
1.8 million, the number count, head count.
Yes. Right.
Head count.
Right. 1.8 million. And because 800,000 came in, but then there's other babies that were born here and things like that. Now, the average age of DACA people is like 24 to 26. So they're not kids anymore.
All right.
And there's been a lot of crime come out of that group too. But, and to me, now that gives the Democrats, the radical Democrats that want votes, it gives them something good. I mean, we care about the people. They need to go into the back of the line where people take X number of years to get in here legally. You can't throw them in front because your parents were criminals.
The prerequisites, $25 billion for the wall.
Right, which I support.
And what we want to do as a prerequisite, number two, that we want to cut off, we want to stop the lottery.
Yes, the lottery migration.
Immigration lottery. And
it makes no sense.
Yeah, all right. And then the third one being the no-chain immigration.
Yes, sir.
Right. Those are priority number 1, priority number B2 or 3 or B or C, stuff like that. A fiance or or aunt or uncle or whoever. So
the nuclear
they
family.
all line up. Yeah.
Mother, father, kids.
All right, good. And then the last one is what is the last one?
Well, chain migration, the lottery, chain migration, the lottery, the 25 billion, and that 1.8.
But the 1.8
is
the 1.8.
So that can come to America, will have a path to citizenship, but they've got to get at the end of the line, okay? You can't come in, okay, you swear them all in, and everybody else has been waiting 5 years.
In other words, is legalization, right? Legalization.
They will have a legal status.
Yeah, legal status, legalizing
a legal status.
Legalizing out of the number of DACA, which is 800,000 whatsoever.
Right.
Considering they're related, like parents, like even they have kids themselves, so the number goes to 1.8 million.
Yeah.
So that could be excused, yet they have to get to the tail of the line.
Well, I hope so. That'll be debated. But now also then to revise our immigration system to a merit basis where if you can show that you're going to learn our English, you're going to adopt our culture, and you're going to contribute economically to the gross national product of the United States, that should be...
Under one condition, criminals are taken out.
Oh, in any way, right, yeah.
Yeah, right?
Adios.
Regardless, at any cost,
Adios.
right? Adios, that has to go, right? No problem.
Right.
Hallelujah. There's nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it.
We have dead Americans that wouldn't be dead.
Nothing wrong with it. Okay, now, let's put it this way. Okay, now, even though we are hanging on the wall issue for quite some time, now it is proven, number one, Mexicans will not do it, will not put up the money, right?
Well,
number two,
if we get better trade balance,
the wall is not going to be sufficient itself, self-sufficient.
No, not by itself.
Not by self-sufficient, because it doesn't produce anything.
Right.
It has to.
It deters.
Has to be our own money, our taxpayer money.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. We argue a little bit. Now, after the analysis, remember, even was the last time when you were here, says, my request is that you separate the two problems, right? Stop the wall, stop the future coming.
Right.
And then inside you have problems, right? Now, if you can take care of both problems at one time, though, I agree.
Yeah.
It sounds that President Donald Trump shows a tendency he wants to take care of the problem at the same time.
It's the art of the deal. That's what he is. He's a deal maker.
I like it.
His supporters, of which I am one.
I started to like it.
Yeah, I really.
If I quote from McDonald, I say I'm loving it.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. But I really don't want these. Dreamers is just a phony word, okay? It's just a phony word.
Those are a game anyway.
It's just a game, yeah.
I'm talking about the problem inside.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But to
Now,
take care
you are
of
deporting
secure our country.
you are deporting the criminals, and you try to rescue 1.8 of those who qualify,
Right.
and then the number gets down until it goes by step, until one day you tackle the whole problem, and the problem is gone. All right, I agree with that part.
Yeah.
And the wall takes time. Wall takes time, right?
But he
Get the
gets
money
things
there.
built fast.
Oh, the commentator
He's
yesterday
yeah.
on the news said that he plans over the next 7 years to be the president of the United States, so that he will finish the wall.
Well, he will finish it a lot faster
So
than
the
that.
constituents will say that, okay, give the guy a wall for 7 years to build. So he gets his
won't be 7
he
years.
gets his second presidency.
Yeah, it won't
That's
be
not
7
bad.
years.
Anyway,
It will be done.
All right. Anyway, how about a relationship between this plan and the government shutdown?
Well,
Or is there any relationship?
Well, they may shut it down again. Schumer, who's the Senate Democrat leader, I just don't have anything good I can say about him. Okay, and I think he ended
Save
up.
your words. Yeah.
Well, but because I'd like to come up with
Trying
something
to be
nice.
trying to be economical, please.
Yeah. Okay. But he guided the Democratic senators and congressmen to shut down the government, and it got shut down for like 3 days. And they didn't expect the response from American people, which was incredibly negative on that political action, that they put illegal immigrants as more important than our military and our first responders and then citizens of America. It was tactically foolish.
That's only a different way of seeing it, right? To me, you know what I see? All right.
I'm
This
curious.
country is operated by the system, by the check and balance. The government is only a player. The function of government is only a player.
Well,
all right. Now, the government shut down. Right? The government shut down. Jobs are still open.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Shops are open. Everything is open whatsoever.
It really doesn't have a big impact.
No, I
Except
don't think
on
it big
military.
So. Every time we hear about the word of government shut down, we got shocked. Like, oh, government shut down. Well, as a matter of fact, shut down is nothing. Well, the system still function.
Right, that's true.
They sign
momentum.
They sign IOUs. The military still function whatsoever.
But no reinvestment in new equipment for the military when it shut down.
Oh yeah. When
That's
they
the
shut
problem.
down, they're not shutting down forever. They're temporarily
Right.
shutting down. Right? That's not a
But
big deal.
we lose time. Time is
deal.
important. But see, one thing, like to me, bureaucracy is not compatible with democracy. Bureaucracy is the bureaucrats. Not the elected ones, the bureaucrats. The bureaucrats, their whole purpose for existence is regulations and power, to have power. To me, the democracy is about liberty for the individual people living in the country. So bureaucracy hinders democracy very, very much. And it's a kind of a deep thought, but I feel it.
By philosophy, you're right. But in talking about real issues, it might not be that much. There is always argument. It is the argument that makes the United States strong. It is the checks and the balance that functions that make the United States sail its own way.
Right, but very soon we'll be having a discussion.
I'm glad that we're doing that,
Right.
because we're still keeping it. People are shocked by saying, yeah, there's disagreement, there's disagreement. It is the disagreement that make America strong.
However, within 2 weeks, we'll be talking about the corruption at the high levels of the FBI.
Okay, we can do that.
Well, we'll need to.
Okay,
Because it's a
once again,
huge scandal.
we're talking about the left and the right. Only the left and the right make us go straight. So anyway, all right. My dear friends, with the Davos as a start line, we touched base with, of course, mostly the last week, with my friend, dear friend, Ken Hemming. We had this common ground on at least several pages for today that I'm very glad of. So wait until next week for next update. So my dear audiences, thank you for watching, my lovely friends, all right? I love you a lot.
Thank you.
Ken, thank you very much, my dear friend.
Appreciate it.
All right, good.
Thank you.